This is the first episode of basically a series I'm going to do where we're going to go through each stage of my game development. I don't know how it actually works out there in the real world, um, with a professional company and whatnot. But I'm going to take you through basically what I'm doing. One chapter at a time, 1 week at a time. So we're just gonna go through the various stages of a game. So basically, in this week, I'm gonna go over some code, some Unity stuff. Not that much. Just gonna kind of show you where I'm at now. Um, we're working on kind of a. It's gonna be an action RPG, Souls-like type of game. Of course, you can make it easier since you're developing it yourself, which is nice. Um, I'm gonna put the link to the Udemy course in the description, so anybody could do it. But anyway, so let me just give you an idea of like where I am so far, and then I'll give you kind of like a high level rundown of the code. Um, yeah, so you can kind of see how all this stuff works. Again, it's gonna be high level, so we're not. It's not really gonna be tutorial. We're just kind of see kind of what's under the hood of these games. So anyway, so we're gonna hit play, and you can see we're just gonna kind of go through different states of the main character. So let's see if I can bump that up a little bit. I cannot. Well, so you should see. You know what? Let's zoom into the scene there. All right, make that character nice and big. There, boom. So there you have our main character in the idle state. So in this video, we're gonna go through the different states of what the main character, or basically states of any character in your game. As you can see, it's a 2D type of retro game. So that's our idle state, right? We could just stand in place. Let's zoom out a little bit so we can, do some actions. We can jump. Oh, there we go. Jump. Hit the space bar to jump. So as you can see, there's a different state if you're going up and then you're going down, right? It's kind of like a landing state and in the air state, right? Like, in the air. And then we have move, as you just saw, right? We can move left, we can move right. That's your move state, okay? Then we have something called a dash, right? So you hit shift on the keyboard, and you could do kind of like a quick little boom. Look at that. So in case you want to dodge like an attack real quick, boom. All right. You could also do a dash in the air. So jump, dash, jump, dash. See this little camera icon? That's kind of your camera in your main, Unity scene. Excuse me. So we have that, and obviously we also have attack, right? You press attack, boom, look at that. And you can see there's a combo, right? So you're doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and you got to hit those buttons in successions to make the combo work, right? So if you just hit 1, give it a second or two, and then you're gonna hit 1 again. So 1, 2, 3 combo, left, right, boom, boom, boom. So this is pretty cool. We have our main character that can attack. One more thing that we can do is we can do this cool little wall slide, as you see. Let's just bring the walls over right here. And then you can sort of do, there you go. Boom, look at that. Nice little wall slide. You can jump from the wall. And we got a cool little wall animation for that. And of course, when you can actually speed the wall slide. Speed it up if you want, right? Or you can jump off it like we just showed. So anyway, those are all the states that our character can do. I think I covered them all, right? Jump, attack, dash, run, yeah, all that good stuff. So that is that. So let's just take a look at some of the code, like I said, on a high level, and kind of see how this happens, right? So let's stop the game and let's switch over to Visual Studio. And boom. Okay, so, all right, this is what they call a state machine. I never heard of this before I started working on this game, but it seems like it's probably applicable to not just Unity and video games, but other apps as well, or any kind of software that you're developing. So what a state machine is basically we're keeping track of states, right? So all those states that you just saw, character moving, character jumping, hanging on the wall, attacking, those different states. So we're keeping track of what state we're in, and then we can update, like set animations, do whatever updates to the properties we have to do in order to make everything work. So what do we need to do with state machine? So basically, we need three classes, right? So we're gonna have a player state, as we see here. We're gonna have a state machine. So you know what? Let's just kind of go over the player state first, and then we'll go to the state machine, and then we'll go into the actual player class, and we'll kind of see how it all goes together. So here, I hope you can see this. I'm just gonna increase it a little more because I don't know. Okay, great. I think that should be clear. So basically, we have a class called the player state, right? So this is gonna kind of keep track of what state we're in. Okay, so we're gonna initialize it with a player, a state machine, and a bool, right? So this is called anim bool name. So this bool is basically gonna trigger animations, right? So when we're in a move state, we're gonna pass in true and trigger that move animation in Unity, right? And that's that all those connecting, of the dots. This is kind of where it happens, right? So we have three main functions that are in the player state, right? We have enter when we enter the state, right? So here you kind of see we're like setting the animation to true, right? Again, like a moving animation, a jumping animation, wall hanging, or whatever you have. Then we have a function called update. Now update is basically called every frame during a game, right? So it's kind of like that infinite loop that that happens basically while you're playing the game, right? And as you know, any game you play is basically it's an infinite loop, right? So it'll be like while true, and then we get out of it, by hitting escape or something like that. So anyway, update your infinite loop. Enter is what happens when we enter the state. Exit is what happens when we leave the state. So for here, all we have is just set the animation bool to false, because we're not using that animation anymore. Okay, so that is the player state, and we have something called a state machine, which is pretty simple. You have it right here. Basically, what we're doing is we're keeping track of the current state. It only has two functions. This one does to initialize the state, right? So we're setting current state to start state. So by default, we're in this case, we're going to initialize to the idle state, and then when we need to change state, we're going to call it change state. So basically, we're going to change from idle to move, from move to jump, from idle to dash, attack. You get that idea. And all we're doing is we're exiting out of the current state, we're setting the new state, and then we're entering the new state. So that's player state. We covered, that's player state machine. We went over player state. And let's take a look at player now, okay? All right, so there's a lot of information here, a lot of fun variables, all that good stuff. So basically, the point of this is we're going to initialize all our states here, that we're going to need, right? We're going to need our idle state, and we're going to pass in, and these bools we're all going to define in Unity, right? Idle, move, jump, dash, wall, slide, attack, right? So this is how we're going to trigger all these animations. And then basically, we kind of have the same. We have start, update. So this is the update that, is part of the infinite loop that's always going to run. So in our state machine, we're going to call the update from the state machine. and that's going to run within our update here. This is actually a different update. It actually comes from this mono behavior class that comes from Unity. But anyway, that's a different tutorial altogether. So anyway, so here we're doing a lot of our player logic, but we're not going to go into all this stuff. But basically, here is where all the player stuff happens, and here's where we initialize all our states for the player. Okay. So that is that. So let's just take a look at an example of one of the states, and I think we can wrap the video after that. So for example, let's do all right, so let's do attack state, right? Well, you know what, let's right, so all right, let's take a look at this, and then we could try to make our own. So this is primary attack state, right, which is going to derive from player state. So basically any state that you want to come up with, right? So this is attack. It's going to be derived from player state. So it's going to need a constructor or initializer, as they say in Swift, which again is going to take a player, state machine, and your animation bool, right? And then the same functions are going to be there: enter, exit, and then update. They're in a different order for some reason. I don't know why. And then here we go. So this is all the logic. What happens when we enter the attacking state, right? This is like combo logic to perform combos. Exit state, what happens when our attack is over, and this is what we do during the attacking state. And let's take a look at one more thing just to see how we change states. Well, actually, you know what? No, you can see here. So for example, in the update state, so this is occurring while we're attacking, right? So here's a variable trigger called, essentially this is saying our final attack is over. Like, we're not going to go into the logic behind that. So we're saying, hey, like, while we're attacking, if our attacking logic is, if we're at the end of our third attack or the end of the first attack, but it's not a combo, then we can do state machine, change state into player idle state, and we go back to idle state. So the cool thing about this is when you have it all set up, it's very easy, or should I say, like more like straightforward, just to change from different states. Hence, man, I feel like I've said state like I don't know, 50 times so far, but it's gonna keep happening, but not for much longer. So yeah, so why don't we do this? Why don't we do something? Let's just give it a whirl. Let's see if we can, as an example, let me just minimize this. So let's hop in Unity, right? And let's do where's our scripts? So just an example, let's say we wanted to do, so we just create a new C# script, right? And let's just name it roll state, right? So here we go. We're going to open it up, and we're going to get rid of mono behavior, right? Which is the Unity class I was telling you about. And we're just going to inherit this from player state, okay? And then we're going to get rid of these. So start is basically the function that's called when Unity starts. Update is the one we talked about. Okay, and so, all right, so this is roll state. So imagine if like there's an animation or, like a move the player does where he like rolls out of the way, right? So what we're going to do here is we're going to do, what's pretty cool here, you can kind of do like here you see like quick actions and refactorings. So you can just create a constructor and it'll automatically fill in, the stuff that you need, right? So we're going to create roll state, boom. You have your player, your state machine, your animation bool name, boom, a little space there. And then you can actually create your overrides, right? So you're going to do the same thing, generate overrides. We'll we'll keep the bottom 4, right? We don't need to string get hash code equals. So we're going to do enter, update, and exit, right? Boom, hit OK. And here you go. So if you wanted to add a role state to your character, here it is, right? And everything here is inherited from player state. You could keep track of it. You enter it, you exit it, and you update it. So all you got to do is initialize this from the player class, create an animation, and that's it. And then you can, control kind of like whatever you do, within that state from here, right? So like, for example, if you wanted to, like update would occur while you're in the roll state, right? So if you want to go back to idle state, you would have some kind of condition here, right? Like if, we're just going to write, still, I don't know, like if roll finished, or like, if, let's say enemy hits you, that's obviously not code, but you'd have to find what the logic is. Then you would say, let's get in there, player dot change, let's second, player dot, what am I doing? Dot state machine dot change state, and then you can pass in your state here. So probably want to do idle, player dot idle state, right? A little semicolon action. So basically this logic here, if enemy hits you, sorry about that, I don't have any enemies yet, but yeah, so we could say, hey, while you're in your roll state, while you're rolling, if enemy hits you, player.stateMachine.change state, player.idle state. So we're going to go back to idle state, if that's the logic that you wanted to implement. Okay, I think I've spoken enough, and this is long enough. So anyway, that's the progress where I'm at so far. Next week, probably not next week or the week after, but my next video, I'll have I'll have a parallax scrolling background and hopefully some enemies and maybe a little more interaction. But yeah, this one was just about, getting the main character in there, setting up a state machine, which, is going to be used for enemies as well. And yeah, so that's it for now. And hopefully we'll see you again. Okay, bye-bye.